What Bob Brown was responding to there was the briefing given in Canberra during the week. Andrew Metcalf, the head of the department, and he was reported in some places as saying that onshore processing could lead to the sort of social dislocation that you get in Europe and the UK. But that's not what he said.
I feel very uncomfortable about this because this was a briefing that was a background briefing, and it was attended on that basis, and subsequently some people who attended have written in detail about what was said. My understanding of the government's position is that they are concerned that if there is an overflow, if the number of arrivals continue to increase and they don't have the capacity to hold them in detention centres in Australia, whatever judgment you make about that, they are concerned that they will then have to go into the community, and they are raising the issue of social unrest. Now,
but did they make the comparison with Europe and events in the UK?
Well, I think that the important thing here, Barry, is it was that it wasn't a suggestion that in 12 months' time Sydney will be burning. I think what the point was that the High Court decision, by essentially knocking out offshore processing and making the likelihood of a lot of boats coming if a solution isn't found, would mean that over time the mandatory detention system would collapse. As Karen says, you'd get a lot of people moving into the community. That would of itself be fine, but if it just kept coming, you would start to see a change in the nature of the Australian community, this change in the attitudes about migration, a general hostility coming up, so that the sort of consensus, over a period of years about what Australia was and what was happening to us and our sense of control over the population would change, and that the sort of thing you've seen happening in London and Paris is as a result of that. I don't think it was a direct threat.
So really, I mean, I wasn't at the briefing, but really what I'm told is that he said enough, Metcalf said enough in that briefing to give rise to those stories. Now, God forbid that journalists should take out mixmasters to stories, which is, I think, what happened. It might have been extended a little bit, but nevertheless, that is what he told the journalists. Still, that is not what he told Abbott, which is another interesting aspect.
Nikki, I'm not sure that that's right. I mean, we were given briefings from the opposition about what he told, Tony Abbott, and they then came and said, "Oh, he didn't mention Paris and London." When we said, "Well, sorry, we were told that this happened, and then this was said, and then this was said," they backed off that. The only thing that Tony Abbott has explicitly said they weren't told was this figure of 600 a month. And what happened with that was, I think somebody had asked about what would happen if we didn't get a solution on this, and the figure of 600 a month came from the experience, I think it was last year.
That was the high water mark in 2010.
Well, anyway, obviously there's confusion about who said what to whom, when and where, but I think the point is that this briefing took place 5 or 6 hours before it was given to Abbott, when I think it probably should have been the other way around, and that way they might have been able to avoid some of this, hyper reporting of what was said.
We need to remember too that the public servants were made to give this briefing at the government.
They're encouraged by Gillard's
at the
office
government's
and
request. And there is a question of the timing of it, and I think what happened was journalists who are given a whole lot of information are trying to work out a way they can get background information into the public arena, and the most convenient way for some people was to say, "Oh well, Tony Abbott's having a briefing shortly. We'll just say that he's been told all the same stuff we've been told." When you don't know beforehand what he's going to be told, it becomes a dangerous situation, and it was probably silly to do it that way.